In this video, we will be seeing how to apply the integrity constraints check default and not null on a column of a table. Here I am creating a table with a single column here. So create table and table name I'm giving as T1 and the column which I'm going to give here is ID, and here on this ID I will be applying the check integrity constraint, which will be every time checking the user input. So it will be using check, we can apply a rule on this column for user input. So int type of ID I'm taking, and using check I will be giving a rule ID less than 100. So every time it will check for the user input this rule that ID should be less than 100. So if it is not, then it will give you error. So table got created with this integrity constraint or rule check every time for the user input that it is less than 100. So for the column ID. And now let's check whether it's working. So insert into T1 values, and I'm going to give the value 101. So it gives error check constraint violated. Now if I insert the value which is less than 100, let's take 99, then one row created. Similarly, now let's create a table. I'm creating a table T2 with ID int, and I'm removing the check constraint. And here in this table, I will be using a default integrity constraint, and default value I am taking 010. Let's take 00. So default value for ID I am giving 0. So this value will be taken for the column whenever the user will not enter any value. And also I'm taking in this table a name of type varchar, so that if we are not entering into this column, we can enter into the name column. So here in this table I'm taking ID int default 00 name varchar with 10 as limit. So when I enter, table got created. Now insert into T2 values, and I'm going to give the value for ID now 1, and for name I will be giving Ram. So one row got created with these values. Now let's give only name in this table. So whenever we are partially inserting into the table, we need to mention the column names like this. So I will be mentioning name and only entering name and not the ID. Name this time I'm giving as Sam. So one row got created. Now let's select star from T2. So you can see ID got inserted as 0 when we are not entering ID. But when we are entering, it is 1. So the default value 0 is entered in place of ID whenever the user is not inserting any value. Now next integrity constraint which we will be using is, let's create a table T3, and this time I'm using the integrity constraint as not null. So compulsory we need to insert value for ID. It cannot be null, but because we are not applying this not null on name, we can keep the name empty while inserting it. So when I enter, table got created. Now insert into T3 values, and I'm giving ID as 1 and name as Sona. One row got created. Select star from T3, and now I'm going to insert only name but not ID. So if I insert only name, I need to mention the name column, and because ID is not null, it will give you error when you are trying to enter only name in this manner. So here I'm entering only name but not ID. So when I run, I get an error, cannot insert null into ID as we have declared it not null. So this is how we can use not null, default, and check constraint, check integrity constraint on a column in a table in Oracle.